When I think about a question like that, the first thing I have to say is that medicine is medicine. Medicine isn't always about health. And what's happening with medicine is that the other modalities are hijacking health away from them. They have to realize that everything cannot be solved with the medication. And what they also have to realize is that much more can be accomplished with food. In order to do that, however, we're going to have to change things. Look at the obesity epidemic. Our population is literally growing, and I don't mean growing just in numbers, but we're growing in size incrementally over the decades. There are so many states that have more than 30% of the population that's obese. We all know that 2 out of 3 people are at least overweight or obese, but now over 30% of the people are literally obese, and in several states more than 35% of the people are obese. The reason why I bring it up is that the way medicine is evolving is that we're protocol driven. They're called guidelines. And what the guidelines do is they just barely touch on nutrition. They'll give you a handout that gives you a diet that is basically guaranteed to cause you to be sick. And in time, or in a very short period of time, you fail, and then you're on 1 medication, and then you're on 2 medications, you're on 3 medications. In fact, guideline medicine is actually going to reimburse you by making sure that you're giving them the right medications they should be on. So it's interesting because the interplay between medicine and the pharmaceuticals, because I think there's a financial benefit each way. If I keep people from having heart attacks, how much money does the hospital make? If we keep people out of the doctor's office, how much do physicians make? Unfortunately, there's a financial component that encourages us to keep people sick. So we have to look at the concept of disease first of all. Disease just means an imbalance. An imbalance can be corrected. So we don't really beat disease. What we do is we come to terms with it. So like with heart disease, we don't reverse heart disease with statin drugs. We don't reverse heart disease by exercising harder. We reverse heart disease by giving the body what it needs. And we give the body what it needs by giving it proper nutrition. Dean Ornish was the first person to prove that you could reverse a chronic disease, and he did it without the use of a statin drug. Imagine that. For all these years, and they're still promoting statin drugs. I read editorials saying there aren't enough people on statin drugs, and we're missing all these people and all these opportunities to treat people. What is the true reduction in heart attacks? If I take 100 people that have never had a heart attack but have high cholesterol, and I give each one of them a statin drug, how many people are prevented from getting a heart attack? The number is 1. 1. Not 30, not 35, and because what they'll tell you is you have a 35% reduction in heart attacks. But the reality is you go from 3 people having heart attacks to 1 person having a heart attack. So literally, you're barely preventing people from having heart attacks. And then 1 person out of 100 develops diabetes from being on a statin. Now, how does that work? Now, what's the complication rate from statins? Well, the side effects of statins are numerous. I mean, I think up to 40% of the people can have side effects if you include muscle aches, because people are told to go through the muscle aches. I'm sorry your muscles hurt, but this is a really important drug, and I want you to remain on this drug because it's so good for you. And you're saving 1 heart attack. You're not saving 100,000 people. And what I'm telling you, which is the absolute truth, is we can do a much better job with plain food. We have data that shows if I go from compared to a statin drug, if I do a Mediterranean diet, which is not the ideal diet. The ideal diet is not a Mediterranean diet, it's a transition diet. What are they doing in a Mediterranean diet? They're getting you to start eating more food, more plant-based products. Oh, you mean I can have greens? You mean I do whole grains? I do get rid of processed foods? And if you look at the DASH diet, which is the diet that everybody wants you to be on, the reason why the DASH diet is because they weren't convinced that they could get people to be vegan. It was as close to a vegan diet as they possibly could make it. In fact, Consumers Report just came out with their recommendations. You know what their recommendations for animal products are? Animal products. They didn't mention dairy at all. Animal products is a part of it, 4 ounces a day. This is Consumers Report. That's something you would have never heard 15, 20 years ago. So what I'm saying to you is that we understand that this is the right way. Even Consumers Report knows this is the right way. We have to really get people on board with this in a very sincere way. We need to get the junk out of the hospitals. Should we be serving pop at the hospitals? Should we be giving people meatloaf after a bypass surgery? We give people French toast with syrup and orange juice for breakfast in a hospital. That's a tremendous sugar load, and it's not healthy. I'm sorry, this is not healthy. We have to be honest with ourselves. It's not about moderation. Moderation is a word that's been overutilized, which really has nothing to do with health. If I smoke 4 packs a day, and now you want me to be moderate, can I smoke 2 packs a day? That sounds pretty moderate to me. Let's be honest about it. Let's have a real honest conversation. So why don't the hospitals switch? Is because the people that run the hospitals don't want to switch. They don't believe it. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to lose their lifestyle. And until they get sick, they're not going to change. So what I ask people all the time is, if airbags were optional, would you get them in your car? Because that's an expensive option when you really think about it. So who would get an airbag? Would everybody get an airbag? No. But who would get airbags? Well, if you got in a car accident and you got hurt, you might say, wow, I really wish I had an airbag. I'll have an airbag the next time. Or if somebody you know got killed in a car accident that could have been saved by an airbag, then you would go get an airbag. Maybe. Maybe. We have to really be honest about what's going on. Ask yourself how you want your life to be. What do you want for your future? What do you want for your family? You realize that if you don't change, you're going to end up fat, sick, and depressed. It's just the way it goes. And somebody's going to be taking care of you. If you want to keep your independence, if you want to keep your mobility, if you want to keep your stability, you have to start working on it now. Health is not something that you're just blessed with. It doesn't come out of the sky and just happen to you. Health is something that you do. It's a verb. Every day, what you do is you do what's healthy. You make a choice. You choose A, you get one thing. You choose B, you get another. Do you choose this food that's going to put me in the hospital, that's going to create the need for more medications? Or do you choose a food that's going to make it so I need less medication, going to keep me out of the hospital, and it's going to give me much more vitality and longevity? The choice is yours.